And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
My apologies for hanging up on that last caller. My finger slipped.
You're really a bad boy.
It sounds like she'd spank you too, Randy. Put your hand on the desk.
You're really a bad boy.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, coming up a week from tomorrow, Randy, you and I are going on the road.
We're going to be at the Pineapple Hill Saloon in Sherman Oaks. We were there a few years ago, one of our favorite live remotes ever, and we're going back. We'll be there from noon to 3 next Friday the 19th, so come on down, say hi, and we're going to be joined by Susan Shelley of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association because we have got to get people to sign a new petition to protect Prop 13.
Last time we were there, it was during Wizard of Oz level wind.
And a hole was blown through the tent. And then I got a massive sunburn. And I think COVID. This is going to be such a good party.
Well, how many times can you have that kind of wind?
I think it's going to be a great time. Beautiful covered patio, right in the heart of Sherman Oaks. Come on down and say hi.
All right. Speaking of Susan Shelley, she is kind enough to join us this afternoon. Susan Shelley, of course, is a columnist at the Southern California News Group, and she is also the host of the Howard Jarvis Radio Show, which airs Tuesday nights on KABC in L.A. and KSFO in San Francisco. You can follow her on X at Susan_Shelley. Susan Shelley, welcome.
Thank you, John. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So, in the middle of the night, there were a bunch of politicians that got together in a cabal with the goal of defeating Proposition 13. Can you explain to us just exactly what happened?
Well, this is a plot that was hatched in Los Angeles, apparently by Mayor Karen Bass and by Bob Hertzberg, formerly in the Assembly and the Senate and a candidate for. And what they decided to do was to try and cut a tax break for developers who are friends of theirs and build affordable housing in Los Angeles so that they could get out of the Measure ULA transfer tax, which is this huge transfer tax. It was the one they called the mansion tax, but it's actually on any real estate over $5 million, which includes big affordable housing projects built by their friends. They wanted to cut them some kind of a deal to get out of it. So they said, well, how about if we create this state law and we introduce it? It's SB 423. We'll introduce it, and here's what it'll do. It'll cut a big tax break for our friends, the developers, in Los Angeles only, and we'll throw in tax relief for the Palisades victims whose properties are worth more than $5 million, so they don't have to pay the tax, but we'll make it contingent on killing the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association initiative to protect Prop 13, which seems really irrational. But what they're trying to do is get these builders not to support it and maybe even to actively oppose it and try to prevent it from qualifying and getting enough signatures. But it's very strange because what this measure does, what the initiative does, is remove Measure ULA altogether. So it's a much better deal for everybody if we just remove this horrible tax.
Susan, people look at California and they say, okay, California is a deep blue state. California is a Democratic state, and they don't think much past that. But the reality is, when it comes to issues individually, the state will frequently take a right-of-center position. Let's say for the death penalty. We have voted any number of times to reaffirm our support for the death penalty in California, despite the fact that the electeds hate it and the Democratic Party hates it. We do the same thing with race-based preferences. We voted for Prop 209 in 1996. We voted recently to eliminate race-based preferences here in California. That's something that Californians believe in. And Prop 13 is a subject I would add to that list. Prop 13, of course, was approved by voters in, the 1970s. And voters to this day in California still approve of Proposition 13, particularly California homeowners. And I just get the impression that this drives the politicians nuts, because ever since I can remember, Democratic politicians in California in particular, some Republicans, I guess, have long said, if we could just get rid of Prop 13, everything in California would be perfect. But it's Prop 13 that's really just holding us back. And they cannot wait to do whatever it is that they can do if they can't get rid of Prop 13 altogether to take the teeth out of it so they can tax us more and have more money to play with to give to their friends.
You are exactly right. They've been hacking at pieces of it through the courts, which is very destructive. You get these court decisions that interpret away your constitutional protections. It's in plain language in the Constitution that local taxes for a special purpose must get a 2/3 vote. That's been interpreted away. And now we have this interpretation on transfer taxes, which are like sales taxes on real estate. It's a lot of money, win or lose. Whether you're making money on the sale or losing money on the sale, it's a tax on the sale price. And it's tens of thousands of dollars, and for these large properties, more than that. So what they've done in the courts is remove the Prop 13 prohibition on transfer taxes under this condition or that condition, charter cities, general purpose, whatever. And then you have this other court decision from 2017 that says the 2/3 vote doesn't apply if it's a citizens' initiative tax increase. Well, who are these citizens who are trying to raise their own taxes? It's special interest groups, and they are using this loophole to write their own tax increase, direct the money to themselves, get the signatures to put it on the ballot, and pass it without needing a 2/3 vote. That's what the courts have said. And that's what happened with this Measure ULA transfer tax in Los Angeles, which is 4 to 5.5% of the sale price of high-value property. And it's happened with the sales tax in Los Angeles that was increased for homelessness services, another 0.5%. That should have required a 2/3 vote. Oh, but it's a citizens' initiative sponsored by the people who get the money, all these different NGOs and nonprofits that get the homelessness contracts for millions of dollars. They sponsored the tax increase, and it passed with less than a 2/3 vote. So what our initiative does at Howard Jarvis is it closes these loopholes. 2/3 means 2/3. Transfer taxes are not legal. They will all be repealed. They'll be banned and repealed after 2 years. There's a bit of an off-ramp for the cities. But anything above the original 0.11% for documents, which used to be the tax for transferring real estate, anything above that is repealed and then banned going forward. And this is at saveprop13.com. It's a petition you can download at home and print and sign and mail, perfectly official and legal, full instructions, the whole thing in the file, saveprop13.com to save Prop 13.
Has Gavin Newsom weighed in on any of this publicly yet?
Not publicly, no, not yet.
Is he doing things privately?
Well, we don't know who's really working on this Senate Bill 423, which is trying to dry up all the funding for the Save Prop 13 initiative. He might be involved in the negotiations over that, or maybe not. He's been very busy trying to renew the cap and trade program, which apparently they're coming back on Saturday to vote to extend. Get this, it's $1 billion a year for the bullet train. And essentially it raises prices and the cost of living in California all the way through 2045 with this hidden tax on energy. It's going to expire in 2030, the cap and trade program. They want to extend it to 2045 to fund the bullet train. You'll be paying more for electricity, more for gasoline to fund the bullet train. They're going to vote on that on Saturday. Call your representatives. Go to findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. Findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. Call them up. Say no on cap and trade. Say no on Senate Bill 423. We have to protect Prop 13. We have to stop the insanity in this state, which is trying to price or tax all of us into Texas.
Well, to that point, the state of California is going to lose between 3 and 5 congressional seats in the next census. We know this right now going into it. We know that we were given an overrepresentation after the last census because COVID shook the snow globe and a lot of people moved out, but we got credit for them while they were still here. And we benefited in states like Texas and Florida. They lost out on representation. But when you talk to people who are not happy about the condition of the state, they're not happy with homelessness, they're not happy with crime, they're not happy with the inability to buy insurance, they're not happy with the fires, they're not happy with Newsom specifically. And you ask them, okay, well, why do you stay here? Well, of course, the weather is at the top of the list, and we can't do anything about that, nor would we, because we have the best weather in the country. But the second thing that they say, and I don't know if you hear this, but this is what I hear everywhere I go, is that even though the government's better in Texas, the property tax situation is better in California. Property taxes are more in Texas than they are in California. Now, of course, that's not because of Gavin Newsom. If Gavin Newsom had it his way, we'd pay more in California than they do in Texas. It's Prop 13 that saves us so that we don't get hosed on property taxes in California. That is one advantage, one discernible advantage that the state of California has over other states that people are looking at as potential homes for their families. You get rid of Proposition 13, and I think you open up the floodgates. I think the one or two things that people are hanging on to stay in this deeply flawed state, you take that away from them. And if you take that away from them, for many of them, there's nothing left.
Well, that's absolutely right. And just as you said, Gavin Newsom takes credit for the fact that property taxes are lower in California. He likes to quote this study that says lower income and middle income people pay higher taxes in the other states. Well, I looked up that study, and what it does is calculate how much renters are paying in property tax based on how much the landlord pays in property tax. And based on that, people who rent in those states are paying higher taxes because they're assigning this value of property taxes. Well, once again, it's only because of Proposition 13 that people who rent in California are not paying that higher rent to cover higher property taxes every year. There's no question that Prop 13 is one of the best policies that's ever been adopted because the local governments get more money every year anyway. Even as people are protected from tax increases above 2%, the local governments get more money because the property is appreciating, and as it turns over or as there's new construction, all of those reassessments bring up the property tax roll. So it's working for everybody. And the only reason that they hate this in Sacramento is because Howard Jarvis put in these extra provisions to make sure that other taxes were not easily raised. One is a 2/3 vote to raise state taxes by the legislature, and the other is putting all the local taxes on the ballot for local voters. That didn't used to be the case. And now you can vote on these taxes. And they don't like that. And they're looking for loopholes all the time. And we have been trying to close these loopholes. It's a 50-year battle between the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and the government entities over whether it will or will not be easier to raise your taxes. We say it should not be easier to raise your taxes. SaveProp13.com.
You and I have talked about this before, about Gavin Newsom being an absentee landlord. Gavin Newsom is running for president. His eyes are on the Democratic nomination in 2028. And anything going on in California is just an anchor that's tied around his neck that he would just as easily rather not deal with. And when it comes to stuff that we care about, like fire mitigation and fixing the insurance crisis and those sorts of things, it obviously gets us upset when we don't have a governor that's fully engaged in fixing major problems that Californians are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. But there's also friendly fire that comes with being an absentee landlord. And that is, now that he's done with California, if helping unions out in California doesn't benefit him specifically as a presidential candidate, there's nothing in it for him. He doesn't have to do anything to please the teachers' unions anymore in California. He doesn't have to do anything to please the SEIU. He doesn't have to do anything to please the developers in California or all of these interest groups that rely on a Democratic governor making sure to spread out the spoils to all the right people. He's worried about making sure certain groups in South Carolina are happy and New Hampshire are happy and Iowa are happy. Those are the people that he cares about. And if by helping out those groups in California that helped him get elected governor and lieutenant governor and mayor, if that stands in the way of him winning one of those primaries or reflects poorly on him or makes him look like a tax and spender or makes him look like someone who doesn't have his house in order, he wouldn't roll out of bed to do something for these people. I think in a weird twist of fate, I think with Newsom as an absentee landlord, those groups stand to lose more than people like us do because he was never going to do anything for us. They assumed he would do something for them, and now I think they're going to be left with nothing.
Well, you raise a really interesting point. We're going to watch him sign or veto all these bills that have been pushed through the legislature. And you might be right. He might do nothing for nobody in California because he just doesn't care anymore about this state.
Susan Shelley with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. If people want to get involved, how can they do that?
You can just go to saveprop13.com and download the petition, print it at home, sign it, or fill out the form to have it mailed to you. And we have to get 1 million signatures by the middle of February, and we will save Prop 13 for California's future.
All right, Susan Shelley, we'll see you in the San Fernando Valley a week from tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be fun.
Us too. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we're approaching the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
Like, let's say you need a break from all the incredibly depressing breaking news of the last 24 hours, and you want to listen to something that's just outright hilarious and ridiculous. Search for The John Phillips Show on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, hit subscribe, and go back to Friday and listen to the episode titled, Pirates Have Taken Over the Oakland Estuary.
I have messaged that podcast or sent that podcast to so many people because when I tell people that pirates have taken over the estuary in Oakland, nobody believes me. And they say, okay, prove it. And I say, okay, enjoy this podcast.
It will definitely put a smile on your face in these very trying times.
Coming up next, we're going to tell you about the curious case of a bunch of produce that's being dumped in downtown L.A. without explanation. If you just had a salad for lunch, be thankful you don't eat lunch at 2. Let's go to Mike in San Jose. Mike, hello.
Good afternoon. The property taxes might be higher in Texas, but you're paying property tax on $300,000, $400,000 home. And that's 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-car garage, which I live in San Jose, would be $2 million. And $2 million, you'd be paying $20,000 a year in taxes. Plus,
there's no question about it.
From me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I looked at a house down the street from me. It was $1.5 million. I have 820 credit score with 500 cash. The guy said it would be $9,500 a month.
Whoa!
Plus you got $15,000 at the end of the year on 1% of $1.5 million, and that's not including garbage, insurance, electricity, water, nothing.
Yeah, that's outrageously expensive. Although I will say this. In Texas, pre-COVID, you could find a decent house in many cities in Texas for $250,000, under $300,000 for sure.
Not Dallas.
If you went outside of Fort Worth, you could.
Oh, if you went outside of Fort Worth or you went to some of the surrounding metro area, but the fancy neighborhoods in Dallas, they are not cheap.
Well, I mean, every city has its own Beverly Hills, but close enough to the city, you could find a decent single-family home for under $300K. Post-COVID, I don't even know if you can do that in Texas.
In parts of Houston, you still can, but you're buying swampland, so good luck with that.
All right, Randy, there is a strange case of produce being dumped in downtown L.A.
Pallets and pallets worth of rotten produce keeps showing up on the same street corner every single day. For more, here's a report from KCAL.
Story is just bizarre. Take a look at the video on your screen. Mountains of produce have been piling up in the streets of downtown LA. Look at how much. And as soon as sanitation crews just haul it all away, more of it shows up.
Well, you're rewarding them.
This is exactly what happened with the rotting pork in South LA.
And KCAL News reporter Amanda Starantino live on Hemlock Street near Olympic. Amanda, what a mess. I can only imagine the smell.
Well, just be happy you're only imagining it, not actually smelling it.
It's so bad, you guys. We just walked over there, and I'm going to do it again for you guys for this live shot. I'm not happy about it.
I hope she's getting hazard pay for this.
Well, after let her do that.
This is nasty. This is all over the place.
Yeah, you might want to file a complaint with the union.
This is all over the place. We're at a different location.
Wait, is she holding her nose?
Wouldn't you?
This is all over the place. We're at a different location than I showed you guys at 5 a.m. We have rotten pineapples. It looks like peaches, tomatillos. It's so gross, and it's just...
You can make a nice peach salsa with all that.
I wonder if it's Whole Foods that's doing it.
It can't be too hard to deduce where all this rotten produce is coming from.
Well, especially if they do it every single day. Wouldn't someone see something?
It's so gross.
It's downtown L.A. Nobody reports anything.
That's true.
It's so gross, and it's just scattered everywhere. And, you know, sanitation crews just showed up, and I asked them, are you guys going to clean this up? And they're like, uh-huh, and then they drove away.
I feel for the sanitation workers, but it doesn't excuse their behavior of slamming the trash cans down so hard that they break and there's garbage all over your street.
Not that you're bitter.
And what's ironic, Victor, if you could go...
I had to sweep up glass in my driveway because something fell out of the garbage truck on Wednesday and covered my street. And I'm like, who's going to clean this up? If I call the city, they're not going to do it. So I got out the dustpan and I swept up glass out of my own driveway that wasn't from my trash cans.
And you knew this because it wasn't from a wine bottle.
That's true.
And what's ironic, Victor, if you could go across the street and look across, we're right across from the wholesale produce for this area. So not sure exactly where this is coming.
Is that where it's coming from, the wholesale produce market?
Do you really need Sherlock Holmes to connect those dots?
Not sure.
You know, this is one of the things that was discussed at the big meeting with the Encino Neighborhood Council and all the officials from the fire department and the park rangers about all the homeless people that live in the Sepulveda Basin that have lit 250 fires this year. Is there's a lot of illegal dumping that goes on down there. And one of the things that the neighborhood council wanted to ask the representative for Karen Bass about was, would you advocate for making the fine for illegal dumping more than the cost to take a load of garbage to the dump?
Seems like a reasonable idea.
According to them, it's like $500 if you're fined for illegal dumping, and if you're taking a load to the dump, it is $1,500.
Well, what do you think you're going to get more of then?
Not sure exactly where this is coming from. It's in multiple locations around Los Angeles, but it's nasty.
You know, I know that this reporter has had to deal with a lot, but they should send somebody out there just on a sting, cover the neighborhood, get it on camera as to who's doing this.
Put it on the news.
It's
and
nasty.
shame the cops into making an arrest.
It's nasty.
Oh, they won't. They'll get a fine.
That's true.
It's nasty, and I don't even want to know what is floating around in here or what little pests and rodents are in here as well. And no one seems to know what's going on here.
As much as California loves to tout its stout if this environmentally friendly state and we go green, this state doesn't give a crap about littering.
No, they don't.
And no one seems to know what's going on here. Take a look at this video to give you a better idea of what we're seeing across downtown LA. City crews cleared this mess just Tuesday morning, but by Wednesday night, new pallets of food waste were back. This is one you're looking at here.
Well, this is their new. Why go all the way to Sun Valley when you can just go to downtown LA and dump it on the corner? Think of all the gas money they're saving.
And it's been dumped again on corners like 15th and Hooper, Olympic, and
If I put my apple cores in the black bin, they want to find me because they're supposed to go in the green bin. But this is totally fine.
Oh, sure, because it's anything goes in L.A.
And it's been dumped again on corners like 15th and Hooper, Olympic and Naomi, Olympic and Hooper. Each time, sanitation has to haul away spoiled produce before it spreads or attracts pests.
Which it already has.
Can you imagine what's living in there?
You don't want to look inside those pallets.
No, you don't.
The mayor's office saw our coverage on this and actually reached out to us telling us these are not victimless crimes. Dumping large amounts of rotting food creates unsanitary conditions and blight.
You're the freaking mayor. Do something about it. Don't react to something you saw on the TV.
I love the fact that the mayor always acts like she's just writing letters to the editor to the newspaper. Someone should do something about that.
They're urging residents to report illegal dumping to 311. Take a look.
311 doesn't work.
Take a look at this Instagram video that's been going viral.
Oh, by the way, that's how all of this came about, how the news found out about this, is because someone went viral on Insta showing the piles of garbage.
Isn't that how we learn about everything now?
Yep.
So this is where all the fruit gets dumped at, on Naomi Street. And you have watermelon. As you can see, watermelon on the ground. You can play the fruit slicing game here.
And he's doing a chopping action, pretending like he's playing Fruit Ninja.
He can do that. I won't.
So on Instagram, videos showed toppled pallets of parsley and melons scattered across the road. One downtown resident told us off camera, this food looks like rejected products, spoiled or unsellable, that workers simply toss out as a free-for-all. What makes it more puzzling...
So what, they expect all the homeless to grab the fresh fruit? Well, not so fresh fruit?
Yeah, that fruit hasn't been fresh for a while.
This isn't like when you replace your TV and you put it out on the curb and it disappears 30 seconds later. This is spoiled food. I did that a couple weeks ago.
That it's happening in...
One time I put a couch out on my corner when I lived in Studio City, Valley Village, and literally I put it out there, didn't even have time to put the sign out. Someone in a pickup truck within under a minute came and grabbed that thing.
You didn't even have time to complain about carrying the TV out to the curb.
There is an active salvaging operation for everything curbside in the valley, but we're talking about appliances and furniture, not spoiled fruit.
That it's happening in areas not heavily traveled. So Council District 14 says they're working with...
Oh, great. This is Isabel's problem.
I'm sure she'll get right on that.
I know it wasn't great there with KDL.
Quite frankly.
But she's even worse.
That is a true statement.
Working with sanitation to keep these blocks clean, but the source of this food is still under investigation. If you come back out to us live here, we are on Hemlock. And
how much investigating do you have to do if they keep dropping the same pallets of produce every single day?
Couldn't you just put a stationary camera in that area and figure it out in one night?
Hemlock and Olympic, so it is actually pretty big road, pretty popular road driving into downtown here, but the city's trying to figure out how exactly this is all getting here, and I'm not going to lie, most of these areas, there's a lot of trash everywhere. We were having a hard time.
Well, there is that.
Yeah, why do you think they picked that neighborhood?
actually pinpointing what the exact trash was we were looking for because it's pretty dirty down here. But what's happening here, we don't know. Someone I just talked to down the way, he said this particular spot has been here for actually 2 weeks now at this point. So it's disgusting. It needs to be cleaned up. The city obviously trying to do what they can to prepare us for the Olympics. But
no, they're not.
I love the fact that the reporter's not even sugarcoating it.
Just wait until all of the Japanese tourists at the 2028 Olympics come to walk around downtown L.A. and they see what looks worse than a third world country.
So disgusting.
You're going to have people from third world countries coming to the L.A. Olympics being like, boy, I wish I was home.
And not a one of them is going to walk by the rotting produce and say, oh, this will go great in my smoothie.
The city obviously trying to do what they can to prepare us for the Olympics, but seeing stuff like this, it doesn't look very promising. Obviously, this is going to be a developing story, and we'll stay on top of it. But for now, back to you guys.
I got a great idea for whoever actually decides to run against Karen Bass. Get a billboard, a picture of that rotting fruit, and say, do you really want 4 more years of this?
I feel like we could smell it from here.
Yeah.
It just looks so bad.
Yeah, hopefully they figure out who did this because obviously, you know, it's not good for people living nearby.
Absolutely.
Okay, Amanda, thank you.
I'm going to need a assist at the end of that story.
Shang?
It's not good for people living nearby.
Absolutely.
Okay, Amanda, thank you.
Well, you can put Karen Bass at the top of this food pyramid.
What's more rotten at this point, the bass or the fruit?
The Bass. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. ABC News legal analyst Royal Oakes joins us at the top of the hour. All right, so I was in Anaheim earlier this week to see my beloved Angels take on the Minnesota Twins. Thankfully, I was there to see the Angels blow the Twins out, and not the day before when the Twins blew the Angels out. But, Randy, there is even more news in Anaheim involving the Angels than the game I went to.
City of Anaheim says they're broke, which is leading one member of the Anaheim City Council to propose a tax on tickets to Angel games, tickets to Disneyland, tickets to the Ducks, and parking at all of those venues.
Oh, great. Let's make it more unaffordable.
For more, here's Fox 11.
There's a chance you could pay even more for the Disneyland vacation. Discussions are underway for a new tax for Anaheim's entertainment destinations. Fox 11's Rachel Aragon live in Anaheim after speaking with the council member proposing this, I guess, controversial idea. Rachel?
I don't know how people do Disneyland anymore. It's more expensive to spend a long weekend there than to go to Europe.
Not if you buy the tickets at Costco.
Yeah, and no surprise here. Most people, I would say, are not too fond of paying more for anything, especially more for, say, Disneyland tickets or any other entertainment venue. However, though, I did speak to the council member behind all this. She said this really boils down to making sure the city of Anaheim has not only enough resources, but proper resources for its residents.
I'm calling foul. Anaheim doesn't have any money?
You know what this is? This is a councilwoman getting more money for the public employee unions and doing it in a way where the local residents who vote don't have to pay it.
Would you be willing to pay just a little bit more to get into the happiest place on earth?
No.
Can't Disneyland kill this? I mean, they have to have a huge lobbying arm for local government. However, they couldn't stop Newsom from shutting down the state during COVID. I guess if they can't do that, they can't stop this councilwoman from taxing Disneyland tickets.
Well, and the feds might still be looking at any crooked deals that are going on at Anaheim City Hall after last time.
That's true.
Those who want to be here are going to do it anyway.
While some parkgoers would pay more, others rather not dish out more dollars for Disneyland.
We really love Disneyland. It's very hard to come, though, with the prices already.
So I definitely don't take a tax or an assessment on business lightly.
Anaheim Councilmember Natalie Rubikova says if prices were to go up, she says it's for good reason.
Sure it is.
More money for her.
She's proposing a new tax on tickets and parking at entertainment venues in the city. The reason, she says, to boost the city's revenue and fund a growing city.
We are $60 million in deficit here in Anaheim.
So maybe there's some fat to be trimmed?
Anaheim, vote her out.
So that is important for me to be proactive as a policymaker to ensure that we are able to provide clean parks, safe streets.
Oh, enough with that already.
Oh, the minute they start talking about that, you know this is a cash grab. If you live there, make sure she hears from you. Because if she's successful, it's going to kill your economy.